Hello and welcome to this video. It's not part of this series. It's not part of I want to talk about this album. I kind of wanted to. I didn't really have any albums planned. I'm a little bit kind of burnt out, to be honest, about doing the I want to talk about this album series. But I did find myself with some free time today. I kind of felt like I wanted to do a video. And so I wrote some notes, and I still had this Guns N' Roses Public Enemy concert on my mind. I feel like I wasn't striking when the iron was hot, because this concert was November 8th, and it's already now as I'm recording this, and I think I'll get this published today too. It's Thursday, November 20th or 21st, I think, something like that. So here I am, and I'm going to talk about the big Guns N' Roses Public Enemy concert in Mexico City on November 8th. And I'm gonna start by saying, before I get to the actual concert, thank you to my friend Chris Phillips, who gifted me. That means he gave me a gift of a concert ticket. He sent me to this concert. If not for that, I wouldn't have gone. Tickets for the concert went on sale like 6 months prior. And I mentioned this. I did, if you like merchandise, I did a bootleg merch video and an official merch video. You can find those elsewhere on the channel. If I think of it, I'll try to remember to put links in the comment or in the description down below. And I mentioned him there. Thank you, Chris. So when tickets went on sale for this concert, I couldn't get them. I've had countless problems for years and years and years with my credit card. It's a Canadian credit card linked to my Canadian bank account. I've lived in Mexico for a long time, and I still have horrible problems with it, using it online, even for Ticketmaster, the largest ticketing company in the world. Unfortunately, I still get all these red flags and whistles and bells and sirens go off, and they send a message to my bank, and they investigate me and come and do some prodding and poking to me, and they make sure that it actually is me using the card. And by the time I got through all the poking and prodding and things like that, the concert wasn't sold out. The cheapest tickets that I can afford were sold out. So I thought, man, I can't go see Guns N' Roses. And then about a month before the concert, I think it was, Chris sent me a message, and he said, hey, he's American. He lives in, I won't say where he lives. I don't know if it's a secret, but I won't say. He lives in Oregon. And he said, hey, I'm coming to Mexico for the concert with my wife. We've got 3 tickets. They somehow had an extra ticket accidentally. He said, do you want it? And I said, yeah, of course. So he transferred to me right away. I received the ticket, and I went to the concert. So thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. Very cool. So to get to the concert, I have a tendency to talk a lot. So and I don't want this to be a review. It's just about my experience at the concert. And so it was on a Saturday, November 8th, about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago. And as it goes, when I do things on Saturday in Mexico City, I like to take advantage of it because I usually work. I think this whole year in 2025, which is almost over now, I think I've only had 5 Saturdays and Sundays, maybe 6 Sundays or 6 Saturdays and 5 Sundays that I did not work. And I usually work 12 hours on those days. So it was on a Saturday, and I thought, all right, I'm going to go to Mexico City, go to El Chopo in the morning, early afternoon, go eat, go to the concert. So I went to El Chopo with my nephew. I posted that video a couple days ago. And by the way, I posted a video of Guns N' Roses doing Don't Cry from the concert, and Public Enemy doing Harder Than You Think. I'll try again to put a link in the description below if you're interested in such stuff. So I went to, well, I did actually, man, even though it was supposed to be my day off, I couldn't help but work. I woke up at 5:40 in the morning, started work at 6 a.m., did a little bit of work, took a shower, got ready. I had to stay overnight, so I had booked a hotel, I think a week or 2 weeks before or something, because it's just I got to stay overnight. The concert ended close to 1 a.m. It's way too late to come back. So I booked a hotel. So I worked a little bit, took a shower, got ready, got all my stuff. In my new house where I've lived here for 3 months. I can walk to the bus terminal. And so I took the bus to Mexico City, got there, took 3 subways to El Chopo, met my nephew at El Chopo. We spent about 3 hours at El Chopo, went for tacos at Tacos Orinoco or Taqueria Orinoco, the best the best, Jerry, the best tacos that I've ever had. The tacos de chicharron are just unbelievable. And I've lived here 19 years. I've eaten thousands of tacos. I don't know if I've ever had tacos better than the tacos de chicharron at Taqueria Orinoco. So then I had to, because I had my backpack, I had to go, which is obviously not allowed in the concert. I had to take that to the hotel, which was kind of in the general area of the stadium, but a little bit past. Had to take an extra train to that, all the way to the hotel, and then only to drop my bag off to go to the hotel or back to the concert, to the venue. And my nephew, he wasn't coming to the concert with me, but he did come with me he wanted to see the merchandise. And so I walked around. I think I spent maybe an hour and a half. Sometimes I spend longer than that, walking around and looking at the bootleg merch. I didn't buy anything, not one single piece of bootleg merch. And I mentioned this in that video. This is the 6th time that I've seen Guns N' Roses in Mexico. I saw them 3 times in Canada, including the first time I ever saw Guns N' Roses was August 19th, 1987, when Appetite for an Onion was just, I think, 3 or 4 weeks old. And I had been anticipating Appetite for an Onion. I knew about Guns N' Roses, and I was very excited about the release of that album, and was very happy to see them. So I saw them in 87, 88, and 91 in Toronto, and then in Mexico City. This was the 6th time I've seen them. And in the 6 times I've seen them in Mexico, I've not bought one t-shirt. Nothing. I don't think any even like buttons or pins or any trinkets, things like that, pens, nothing. Just I do like seeing it, but for me, Guns N' Roses, it's not like Metallica, Iron Maiden, Kiss. For me, their merch is just not particularly appealing. Yeah. So, but I still like walking around and taking the videos, and that was cool. So then my nephew and I parted ways, I think around 6 o'clock. I went in, I saw the official merch, took a video of that. And again, I'll try to link it in the description down below. Went in. Now, this is the first time ever I've been going to concerts at this stadium. It's now called Estadio GNP Seguros, the GNP insurance company. For years, it was called Forosol. I've been going to concerts there since the first concert I ever saw there was Iron Maiden in February 2008. So it's been a long, long time since I've been going to concerts there. This Guns N' Roses was the first time ever, thank you to Chris, that I've ever been on the floor. I've been on floors in many other venues, but this is the first time I've been there in this venue. And very, very different vibe being on the floor, especially in a big stadium compared to, I'm usually maybe way up there somewhere in the back, in the middle. I will be there for AC/DC. I got a ticket. I'll talk about that a little bit maybe in the next video when I do. I think I'm going to do an AC/DC album next in the I Want to Talk About This album series. So I have tickets to AC/DC next year that's in April. And I have tickets to Iron Maiden. That's in October next year. And I'll be in my normal spot way back here. So yeah, it was cool being on the floor, a very different experience. And now thankfully we're about a month into the dry season. The last time we had any rain whatsoever, the last time a drop of rain fell from the skies above was October 13th or 14th. And we're not going to have rain again for the next 6 or 7 months. So that was a good thing, because this stadium it's open, it's wide open. There's no roof, except if you're up in the top sections all around. But on the floor, there's no protection there. That would really suck to be stuck in the rain for 3, 4, 5 hours. It would be horrible. So it was a beautiful night. A little bit cold by the time the night was done. I was freezing cold. I did wear I brought with me a hoodie, a Guns N' Roses hoodie. Actually, I did buy that. That was an official one I bought in a store here, a Mexican store. Mexicans would know this, called Cuidado con el Perro. It was at Woolworth. I bought that Guns N' Roses hoodie at Woolworth maybe 3 years ago. And so I did bring that. I thought, okay, that's all right. And I thought, no, I don't want to bring it, because then I got to carry it. Because when I left to go there, it was still kind of warm, but I knew it was going to be colder. So I thought, should I? I don't think it's going to be that cold. But I've been burned by that before. I always regret not taking a jacket to the stadium, because by the end of the night, it's freezing cold. I think when I got back to my hotel, it was like 8 degrees Celsius. But I thought, I'm on the floor, so everybody's kind of, packed in, and there's people all around you. and that'll keep me warm. And I'm glad that I got that thought out of my head, because I was very happy to have my arms covered. My feet, I think were almost numb. I was so cold by the end of that concert. So being on the floor is cool. Now, Public Enemy opened the show, and I love Public Enemy. The last episode of I Want to Talk About This album that I did was Public Enemy. It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. That was November 6th. I think I did that one on my birthday, November 6th. So it's been a few weeks since I've done that. A couple of weeks anyway since I've done I Want to Talk About This album. And I was very, very excited to see Public Enemy. I've been a fan since 1988. Had never seen them live. And when it was announced that they were opening, because they only announced, I think, about a month before the concert, I was already kind of upset, a little bit despondent even, that I wasn't going to see Guns N' Roses. And then when they announced Public Enemy was open, I thought, man, this is even worse. I'm going to miss Guns N' Roses and Public Enemy. But again, thanks to Chris, I did see Public Enemy. Now, I get in there fairly early. When I get in there, the stadium, like the bleachers, the stands, they were like 95% empty. You could count individual people there. The floor, of course, there were, I guess, a few thousand people. The floor itself holds probably 30, maybe 40,000 people. It's divided into two sections, A at the front and B obviously is in the back. So A, even though I was relatively early, there were still, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 people there. Not everybody is crowded up at the front. There were some people, obviously it's mostly going to be the hardcore Guns N' Roses fans who have to be up at the front. They're going to be there the whole night. But I was able to, let me get back to that. I did buy, going back to the official merch, as I said, I've never bought any Guns N' Roses shirts in the 6 times that I've seen them in their concerts here in Mexico. But I have bought official posters, and I did buy an official poster to the show. I'll show it in a second here. That can be very stressful. These posters are often in very, very high demand. When they played here in Mexico City, the last time I saw them in 2022, posters, there were only, I think, 200 or 400 made, and it was in a stadium, not this same stadium, but a pretty big stadium. I think it holds around 40,000. This one on November 8th holds 55, maybe 60,000. I'm not sure, something like that. And so, if they're only making, I think it was 200 posters in 2022, I didn't get them because they were selling the merch outside. So you didn't need a ticket to get in. So any jackass from the street could go and buy them. And apparently, and if you like Guns N' Roses and you like posters, you might know the story that there were apparently 2 or maybe 3 people that bought like all of the posters only to hawk them on eBay. And it's very stressful. So I'm thinking, man, I got to get there. I want to get in early enough to get a poster. But then, the longer you're in, the longer you have to stand, like this. And, you're shifting your weight and you're stretching like this and, things like that. Because you're standing there for, 5 hours or something. So you have to kind of find a balance between, being in there at a decent time enough to get a poster, but not wasting all your time in there. So I did get the poster, and as it turned out, there was very low demand for the poster because on the way out, like 5 hours later, I walked past an official merch stand, and they still had some. So, but you don't know that. So I thought, do you get a poster now and then it's secured for you, but then you got to hold it all night? As it turns out, I could have saved myself. I could have had free hands all night, which would have improved my night considerably instead of holding on to a poster like this for, I guess about 5.5 hours, something like that. So I did get the poster, and I have to say, I'll show right now, it's maybe the most disappointing poster that I have in my somewhat large collection. Here it is here. All right, let me stand back. All right. There it is. All right, this is the official show poster, and it was also the most expensive poster I've ever bought. This was 1,000 Mexican pesotes, which is $50, $52, $53 these days. T-shirts were less than that. T-shirts were $800, which I think is incredible, like just horrendously priced. But for some reason, I have more of a connection to the posters than the T-shirts. And each of the posters is unique to each show. Now this one you can see, and they are numbered This is number 173 of 400, 500. There were 500 posters made. So they didn't sell 500 posters because, as I said, there were still some left when I went out. But yeah, very disappointing for me for a few reasons. One, and if you don't like, oh, now it looks like I'm wearing this as a shirt, right? That's kind of, yeah, there. Now I have an official Guns N' Roses shirt. A few reasons why I don't like this. As you can see, it's really the Appetite for an Onion artwork album cover, which to me is a little bit, it's not very creative. Some of the posters are just incredible, very, very creative. They're usually something to do with the city or the country where they're playing the show. And you know, I've lived here a long time. I've lived here 19 years, and everything in Mexico, gig posters anyway, a lot of things, it's all Aztec, Maya stuff. Sometimes, often I would say the luchadores, the lucha libre, the Mexican wrestlers, Cactus, things like that, Frida Kahlo occasionally. But yeah, so in terms of design, I didn't like that it was just Appetite for an Onion basically, and that it was, you know, Aztec again. And by the way, there it is. And then the other thing I don't like about it, it's a lot of wasted space. All of this black, to me, it's kind of wasted space. They could have put something in there. It didn't have to be an actual design, but at least some, you know, added some color or something. To me, it just seems incomplete. I'm not saying the guy who did this poster is not talented. I'm not saying he doesn't have any creativity. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this poster, for me, it feels a little bit incomplete. Whether it is or not, I'm sure he looked at this. I don't know if I'm sure, I guess. He said, yes, this is what I want. Maybe he thought about adding stuff to it, but didn't have time. Maybe he couldn't come up with anything. I don't know. And the last thing that I don't really like about the poster, but I will always buy the poster no matter what, it's pretty much the identical color scheme. And I don't have the poster with me. I should have shown it. When they came in 2022, exact same colors. It's this kind of green, orange, and also on black. It's not black paper. The back is white, but this is all ink, or I guess I don't know if this is a digital print or what. It doesn't have that smell, that silk screen smell. So yeah, the poster, man, the rest of the posters on this tour were incredible. I watched them every show. I checked them out, what they were doing, and every single poster on that tour was amazing. The two from Buenos Aires were not that good. They form one. The two posters from the two shows form one poster. This is for sure my least favorite from the tour, but I was gonna buy it no matter what. So there's the poster. So yeah, it kind of sucked having to hold that for, I guess it was, I must have bought that around 6:30 and the concert ended at 12:30. So it sucked holding that. And, I hate this. They don't even give you, often when you buy posters, they have like a plastic, it's like a sleeve, like that you can put the poster in. It's like a poster size and the poster fits in there. And you'd think for 1,000 pesos, 52, 53 US dollars, you could include a plastic sleeve that costs nothing. And now, thankfully, it didn't rain. As I said, we're in the dry season now. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know if it had been the rainy season or if there had been rain in the forecast. I don't know if I would have bought the poster or not. Imagine spending 1,000 pesos on a poster and then you get it rained on. But also, I had the risk of people, throwing beer on it, vomiting on it, spitting. There's always liquids flying around in the air. And so I was, in the back of my mind, or maybe in the front of my mind, very conscious of having the poster. It did detract a little bit from my enjoyment having this poster. And I did think to bring, and I actually still have it on my wrist. I guess I could take this off now. I did think to bring an elastic. I thought, okay, if there's no sleeves, I can at least roll it up. But this, I don't know if you can tell, but this paper is so thick. Hello? That it can't be rolled. It's just it's borderline cardboard. It's like Bristol board paper, almost like cardboard, not corrugated. But it couldn't be rolled. Otherwise, I would have rolled it up. That would have been a little bit easier to to hold if it had been rolled up. But I had to hold it flat like this for the whole night, and giving people the stink eye, the evil eye, the crooked eye. If they came near me, if they came within arm's length of me, I had to make sure that I kept my poster safe. All right, so getting back to Public Enemy. So I was somewhat close for Public Enemy. When I first got in there, you're kind of at the back of the floor, and I kind of went like this, and permiso, and kind of made my way up, and I was kind of like this, and I felt comfortable there. If I hadn't had the poster, I honestly think that I would have. I don't know if I would have been able to make it right to the front. I think a lot of people wouldn't have cared if you're pushing through people for the opening band. I don't think people would allow that, and I would never do that for Guns N' Roses or for their headlining band, because I know people stayed outside for hours and hours, maybe even a couple of days, and I wouldn't do that. But I felt like I could have probably got right up to the very front or very close to the front for Public Enemy. But I got to a point where I thought, okay, this is fairly close. I'm comfortable here. I still feel okay with the poster. Public Enemy was awesome, man. From the time I heard that they were opening, and then Chris gave me the ticket, I was very, very excited. I did the episode of I Want to Talk About This Album, talking about It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, and I talked about them there. I love Public Enemy. I'd never seen them live, and I didn't know what to expect. This is a rap act opening for Guns N' Roses, and I don't know how the crowd would react to them, or what it would be like. The crowd was actually surprisingly into it, at least. And again, maybe it's a different experience on the floor than if I'd been back in my normal area up here, somewhere back here. But yeah, people seemed very unfamiliar with them, but enjoying them nonetheless. I was very familiar with them. I was, what do you do? Do you sing along or do you rap along? I don't know. But and on my phone, I was taking notes. I was tracking the set list. They played 14 songs. They opened with She Watched Channel Zero. The woman makes the men all pause, and if you got a woman, she might make you forget yours. There's a 5-letter word to describe her character and her brains being washed by an actor. And every real man that tries to approach, come the closer he comes, he gets just like a rope. Roach, I don't think I can handle going channel to channel cold looking for that hero. She watched Channel Zero. They open with that. Now, I don't know what songs Public Enemy normally does in their set, but I did look at set lists after, and I saw that they don't play She Watched Channel Zero very often, and when they do, they close with this. So this is, I guess, really unique that they open with it. And yeah, they did 14 songs. A lot of them were kind of incomplete. They maybe just did the first half of it, or up to the first chorus or something like that. Then they, morphed into something else. But it was still pretty cool. They did, I guess, most of the songs you would expect, at least for me. Obviously, a lot of It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. They did, what they didn't do? They didn't do Bring the Noise. I was very, very surprised that they didn't do Bring the Noise. So they did Don't Believe, Don't. Now here's what I want y'all to do for me. Back. Caught you looking for I fucked that up. Back. Caught you looking for the same thing. It's the new thing. Check out this subring. Don't Believe the Hype they did. Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos. Night of Living Bassheads. Here it is. Bam. And you say, goddamn, this is the dope jam. But let's define the term called dope. And you think of me funky now? Nope. She Watched Channel Zero. They did what else? Something I'd kind of forgotten about. 911 is a joke. Remember that song from Fear of a Black Planet? Get up and get down. 911 is joke in your own town. Get up and get down. Late 911, where's the late crown? I kind of forgot about that. That was cool. They did that. They did State of the Union, STFU, Shut the Fuck Up, from their most recent album. What are you going to do when the grid goes down? I think it's called. I can't remember what else. They didn't do... Oh, of course, they closed with Fight the Power. There was another one that they didn't do. They did Can't Trust It. Oh, they didn't do I Can't Do Nothing For You, Man. I Can't Do Nothing For You, Man. That's a great Flavor Flav song. They didn't do that. But very cool to see Public Enemy. And let me check my notes, see if there's anything else I want. Yeah, they did Oh, and I should say, I was just doing some Chuck D there. I was freestyling, and I don't sound like Chuck D, but Chuck D sounds the fuck like Chuck D. He sounds exactly as he did in 1988. He's not singing, he's rapping, so he's not really going to lose that voice like some singers. But he sounded great. Chuck sounded amazing. He's got, I talk about this in the episode, he's got that big booming voice. He really kind of commands attention. It was very cool. They had, so there was Chuck and Flav, of course, the main guys. They had, so Chuck and Flav, 2 DJs, one on each side of the stage. They had a drummer in the middle who, I don't think his drums were live. I think he was kind of miming, he was actually playing the drums, but he was, I think, just going along with the pre-recorded beat. They had, I think, 3 S1Ws. They had one on each side, like in front of each DJ in yellow camouflage. And then I think to the right, the audience right, there was a guy in blue camouflage. He looked like a kid, like a young teenager. I was very cool to see Public Enemy. And something that I noticed at the end, as I said, they closed with Fight the Power. And at the end of the song, Flavor Flav, started talking and saying how much he hates racism and we should rid the world of racism and things like that, which is fine. And he kind of kept talking. You could see everybody behind him kind of like, hey, the show's over. What are we still doing here? And so they're all kind of milling about, and Chuck came over. So Flavor's, standing like this, addressing the crowd. And Chuck came over here standing, talking to him, and he's kind of, off mic. He's kind of whispering in Flavor's ear. And I could see him he was saying, we're going to take a picture. And Flav just wasn't paying attention. He kept talking and talking. And Chuck kept saying, we're going to take a picture. Come on, we're going to take a picture. So finally, Flav stopped, and they went and they took a picture. And I went like this, so I'm sure everybody saw me in the picture about 40 rows back. So did I have anything else about Public Enemy? Yeah, that's it. All right, so now getting to the main attraction, Guns N' Roses. Okay, to address the main thing, Axl's voice. They played Guns N' Roses. I'm obsessed with time. I'm very conscious of time. I pay attention to time. They started at 9:32 p.m. They finished at 12:37 p.m. That's 3 hours and 5 minutes. All right. And, Axl's voice, I understand he doesn't sound like he did in 1991 or 1992 or 1987 or even 2016 when they kind of got back together, or when he was with AC/DC around that same time. I understand that. I will always, always, always defend Axl Rose for the mere fact that, I hate that word mere, it's a terrible word. I will always defend him because they played 3 hours and 5 minutes. I'm not saying, oh, his voice, he's really putting a lot of strain on his voice, so give him a break. I'm not saying that. I'm saying not just for Axl, but for the band. Hey, if you're going to play 3 hours and 5 minutes, you will always, always, always have my support. I just don't know how people can criticize him for the guy makes an effort. A lot of bands, they play an hour, and headline sets play an hour and 15 minutes. Even Iron Maiden, who I love, they play maybe an hour and 45, which is, that's pretty good. But, this is, a lot longer than that. So I can never say anything. I love Axl, man, and I'll talk about him for a few other things here. And about getting back to his voice, I know that his voice is different. I honestly, especially when you're there in the concert, it's not, like, you almost don't even notice it. When you watch the videos on YouTube, yes, it's more noticeable because you're in the quiet of your home or your office or your cubicle or your car, wherever you are, and you're not distracted by all the people around you, all the lights, the helicopters flying over, the volume, the background, things like that. So, the voice gets, it kind of takes a back seat as compared to when you're watching in the video. But even at that, I don't think his voice is that bad. He's Axl's voice, if you compare him to, Paul Stanley, Don Dokken, David Coverdale, Vince Neil, awful. Vince Neil is a disgrace. I mean, those guys' voices are they're gone. They're you know they honestly, it's like they forgot how to sing, and in some cases it's not their fault. Some of them they're just losing their voice. These guys are old, and as you get older, things don't work. So that's understandable. But the thing that's great about Axl is Vince Neil, in addition to having, he just can't sing. He's just very lazy too. And I know he had a stroke recently, but for years and years and years before his stroke, somewhat recently, I think it was at the beginning of this year, he was always bad. He was terrible. Not just vocally, he was out of shape. He had no energy. He made no effort. He didn't sing the words. He was just awful. Disgrace. Axl is not that bad. And something I've wondered about, he still has his voice. He doesn't sing with that grit. That screechy kind of very powerful grit. Yes, he doesn't have that anymore. And yes, I'm aware that people say he sounds like Mickey Mouse and he sings, in a very high register, but seemingly with no power. I wondered if, because he's been singing like that for quite some time. I wonder if he's doing that intentionally, because he does still have moments. And I talked about this, Guns N' Roses played the Black Sabbath Back to the Beginning, the final concert in July 5th. And I talked about this there. There were a few moments when Axl did, kind of have that old, great classic Axl voice. And I feel like he still has it, but maybe it's self-preservation. People love to say that. Maybe he's just keeping his voice so that he doesn't end up like some of these other guys in 5 years or 10 years or even 2 years. So he does still have his moments where he sounds great, where he does bring out that old Axl voice. And also I think when he's singing the lower register stuff, like It's So Easy, or stuff where he's not really, that Axl, he actually sounds, I think there's nothing wrong with him. But I know people like to criticize, but I will forever defend Axl. And he's a very, very fun, kind of captivating guy to watch. He's very odd. He's always been kind of odd. Just his movements and his facial expressions. And I talked about this when I saw them in 2022. He does this thing now where he'll be singing, or maybe it's, between lines or between verse and chorus or something, and he looks out in the crowd and he goes like this. He waves and he smiles and he waves. And I don't know why, but I love that. I only noticed him do it once this time, and I think it was towards the end. I was kind of watching for that. Maybe I missed some, but I like that. And just his how he's kind of hunched over. He kind of walks around like this, and he's got a strange cadence to the way he walks, and I love Axl. He's very, very, very. You almost can't take your eyes off him. So praise Axl. I don't care what you think about his voice. I love Axl. Let me go to the notes here. So, and the sound was great too. Everything I could hear everything so great, perfect sound. But something strange about Axl, not his voice. I noticed many times he was singing. He had the microphone to his mouth, and he was singing. You could see his mouth moving, and then the volume just dropped for a second. Like you wouldn't hear, one or two words. He was moving. I'm not saying there's any shenanigans here. I don't know if there was, if it was like I don't know, but I did notice that it didn't affect my enjoyment of the show. But I did notice many times throughout that it's like the microphone kind of dropped. I would imagine if there was some technical problem, Axl would have let everybody know. But he didn't, so I don't know what that was. I also noticed several times, every couple of songs, he would be singing and he would be reaching back to his, I guess his pack, his in-ear monitor. And I don't know if he was just adjusting it or if it was coming loose or something like that. But again, nothing wrong with it. This is just an observation. But I did notice him often, every couple of songs, reaching behind his back and presumably adjusting in the industry, we call it the IEM. All right. So there's that. Let me see. Let me check the notes here. Something that I do miss about Axl, sticking with the Axl theme, and I talked about this when I talked about their concert a couple of years ago. I do miss the Axl the kind of unpredictable, engaging Axl that used to engage with the crowd, tell stories, and talk between songs. You never knew what he was going to say. He pretty much now, the song ends and the next song begins. Occasionally he'll say a few words. He did at one point towards the end, said he noticed somebody in the front row was clapping. I can't remember. He said they were clapping with their forearms. I don't know if he meant they were like clapping like this or like this. Maybe they also were holding something, and he said, "Oh, somebody is clapping with their forearm." I don't know if I've ever seen that. So I don't know what he was talking about, but that was really his only real kind of spontaneous comments during that, other than Mr. Isaac Carpenter on the drums and Mr. Richard Forrest on guitar. Did I say Isaac Carpenter on guitar? Drums? Isaac Carpenter on drums. Mr. Duff McKagan on bass. He didn't really say too much. I missed that, knowing not the unpredictability of Axl. What else can I say here? A couple of the highlights for me. I really liked, and they do change their set list from night to night, not drastically, but they'll drop a few songs, add a few other songs. So you kind of, they're always going to open with the Welcome to the Jungle and close with Paradise City, which is kind of unfortunate. And they're going to play November Rain and Sweet Child of Mine, things like that. But they do swap some songs in and out. They also do change the order a lot. I noticed, because I looked at the set lists after the concert of their previous concerts through the South American or Latin American run. And Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, when I saw them, they did it relatively late, maybe 15th or 16th in the show. I think I've seen them on other shows do it as early as like the 5th or sixth song. So I do kind of like that, they mix it up, not just the songs, but the order of the songs, just to give it, I guess, a different feel. And the thing that I really appreciate about that is it prevents them from going into autopilot. So even changing the order of the songs, I think that's to be commended for me. Now, so the songs that I really liked, and I knew they did Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and I love that song, and I love Black Sabbath. I liked it way more than I was expecting to. I thought, okay, yeah, they're going to play Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, cool. I really get into it. They did when they played it at the Back to the Beginning concert. I talked about this at the time. Axl, his timing was way off. He was coming in for each verse or each line far too early. In this, he sang it perfectly. It sounded great, and then at the end of it, on the big screen behind him, there's a big image of Ozzy going like this, something like that. So I really enjoyed Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I loved Coma. That's I have two Guns N' Roses songs I consider my favorite. Coma is one of them. And when I saw them last time, I saw them twice in 2022, once in Mexico City and a few days before that in Merida, Mexico, which was fantastic. And they did not play Coma at the Mexico City show in 2022. There was some bullshit, I think. I remember the day after the concert on their social media, they apologized. They said, hey, everybody in Mexico City, we're sorry about last night, because they dropped like 4 or 5 songs from the set list because there was some kind of problems. I don't know what it was, and Coma was one of them. So I was happy to hear Coma again. And I noticed that in this song, I've never heard Slash say anything about Coma or what his favorite song is to play. I have a feeling it's Coma because he's a good performer too. Slash is also a very captivating guy to watch. I noticed he I think took it up a notch during Coma. He seemed much more into it. Coma was probably the highlight for me. I love that song and I loved it live. And you know what? Maybe at some point I was sick of it, but I think for years and years I've enjoyed I love hearing Sweet Child of Mine. I know it's played to death, and I don't know why I guess that's a sign of good song. I've heard Sweet Child of Mine in the last 20 or 30 years probably as much as Paranoid and Rock and Roll All Night and Crazy Train and Enter Sandman, things like that. And I think just about all those songs I'm tired of, but I still get great enjoyment out of Sweet Child of Mine, and they play it perfectly. Slash's guitar, he just plays it. It may as well be the album. Sounds perfect. What else? Let me go to the notes here. Now they did play, I think a lot of people would be upset by this. They did play 4, I guess you can still call them new songs. They've been playing them for a couple of years now, at least 2 of them. They did play Absurd, Hard School, Perhaps, and The General. Now, a lot of people, you can't please everybody. Everybody loves to say that. There's the people that say, we don't want these new songs. Play the hits. Play Appetite for Destruction. Play, anything from Use Your Illusions. We don't care about Chinese Democracy. We don't care about The General and Perhaps and Atlas Shrugged and Hard School and Absurd. And then there's other people that go, oh, they always play the old songs. I'm tired of hearing Sweet Child of Mine and Welcome to the Jungle and November Rain and Knocking on Heaven's Door. We've heard those for years. So, and I try to look at it objectively. I don't particularly love any of these 4 new songs, Absurd, Hard School, The General, Perhaps. Although Absurd is great live. It's a very loud, crazy, wild, chaotic song. Very, very good live. I love the fact that they play them. Some people would say, get those out of there and put something else in, because they did not play. They didn't play Estranged, which is, that's a pretty big song for them, and they didn't play it. And I kind of like that. I like that the band plays. I'm the biggest Pearl Jam fan. I've seen Pearl Jam more than any band. They're one of the few bands I've seen in 3 different countries. And they change, they might play 28 songs one night, and then the next night play 29 songs, and maybe only 7 of them are the same. I love that. You don't need to hear whatever song every night. So I kind of, as much as I, like Estranged, I guess, I like Estranged better than Hard School. But I like that they, this tour is called Because What You Want and What You Get Are Two Completely Different Things. I think that's what it's called. I don't know what that refers to, but I like kind of wondering. I'm sure there were some people that left going, man, they didn't play Estranged. They also didn't play, what was the other relatively big song? Oh, Civil War. I don't care about Civil War at all, so I didn't miss that. So, yeah, some people are going to complain about that. I had no problem. What else? Now, there was a stretch where they played Hard School, Rocket Queen. That's my other favorite song. I think what I consider to be my 2 favorite Guns N' Roses songs are Coma and Rocket Queen. So, these were consecutive songs. Hard School, Rocket Queen, Wichita Lineman, Absurd. Those 4. Now, Hard School, the crowd is not particularly into Hard School because it's new. So the crowd, kind of came down there. And then Rocket Queen is a great song, but, Rocket Queen, I think it's around 6 minutes. They extend that out to, must be 12, 13, 14, 15 minutes, because both Richard Fortus and Slash do not a guitar solo where it's just them playing, but, with the band, it's like kind of like a jam. And that jam, Fortus's is probably 3 or 4 minutes. Slash's is 5 or 6 minutes plus, and then it goes in the rest of the song. And Slash is doing, the thing with the talk box. And I like it. It's cool to see, but it's not a crowd pleaser. People aren't going to be pumping their fist in the air and singing along with these jammy things. And then after Rocket Queen was Wichita Lineman. And then Absurd, another new song like Hard School that it's not, really going to get the crowd going. And then after that, there was a guitar solo. So yeah, that stretch of Hard School, Rocket Queen, Wichita Lineman, Absurd, and then the guitar solo, that was that close to half an hour total? The crowd kind of lost interest there, I think. But then after Slash's guitar solo led right into Sweet Child of Mine, that woke everybody up. Those who were sleeping were awakened by the dulcet tones of Slash playing the intro of Sweet Child of Mine. There was no encore, and I didn't realize they were doing this. They usually play the 22 whatever songs. They go off stage for 2 minutes, and then they come back and they play another 2, 3, 4 songs. And you're gonna make the argument, oh, encores are bullshit. They're so fake. It's a scripted. Encore is supposed to be that the crowd is going so crazy that they're demanding more, and the band comes back and they play more. Yes, I understand that, but that's bullshit. That's old fashioned. You're taking that too literally. Pearl Jam, again, I'm the biggest Pearl Jam. I always love how they do an encore because they, up until somewhat recent years, they would play the main set with 17, 18, 19 songs. They would take a break for the encore, and I hate doing this too. I'm doing a lot of stuff that I hate. in this video. And then they would go away. Then they would come back and do another 6 or 7 or 8 songs. Then they would go off the stage again for another 2 or 3 minutes, come back and play another 5 or 6 songs. And I love that because, having that break, it gives the crowd a chance to, relax or go to the bathroom, whatever, just, kind of breathe, right? And then you come back and it's like restarting. It's like, when you restart your computer or your phone or something, everything is fresh and new or something. It's like recharging your battery. So it totally changes the tone of the show. But Guns N' Roses on this tour, apparently they're not doing encores. So they played all these songs, but kind of strange. So they closed with Paradise City, of course. They walked off stage, and I thought they were doing encores. I think, holy shit, are they actually going to come back and do something other than Paradise City? And then they came back on the stage. I was going, oh my God, they're actually going to do a literal encore where, the crowd demanded. But all they did was they came back out just for their curtain call. They stepped off stage for, 2 minutes or something. They came back on. They did the curtain calls. There were 2 things about that. And I was very observant about this. Axl almost had a wardrobe malfunction. This was strange too. When they finished doing Paradise City and they walked off stage, they came back just for the curtain call, and Axl changed his outfit just for the curtain call. He changed many times during the show. But he came out wearing a different shirt 2 minutes later than he had when they finished Paradise City. So he came out and they were all lined up about to do their curtain call, and he was wearing like a button-down shirt, almost like a flannel. He looked like he should have been in Seattle in 1992 or something. But it wasn't buttoned up, so it was open like this. And I don't know, maybe he doesn't care. I get the feeling, he's maybe a little bit self-conscious about that. And so he had his shirt open and he was kind of looking around, and then he went like this and he looked down and he kind of pulled his shirt like this, covered it up. And that was one. And then I noticed, he's really in charge. Axl seems to be in charge of everything, including the curtain call. So they're like this. And I was looking at Axl's lips, and he was counting. He was going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he was like giving directions that they all have to like bow at the same time, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this, and then hit their mark, and then bow again. Axl, so he's even in charge. He takes charge even of the curtain call. So just something I noticed. Was there anything else? Yeah, so that was it. So that concert ended at 12:37, 3 hours and 5 minutes. Then something that was kind of giving me stress towards maybe the last half of the show, my battery on my phone, I thought I had enough battery, but it kept going down, 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 because I had been using it all day at El Chopo to do the video, and I took the bootleg merch video, and I took the official merch video, and I took one video of Public Enemy, Harder Than You Think, and one video of Guns N' Roses doing Don't Cry. And, took a few pictures, not that many, but a few. And so my battery was dying. Now, the problem is, first of all, getting out of that stadium with 55,000 people all leaving at the same time, it's a nightmare. It's horrible. It's impossible to get an Uber. For one, there are just not enough of them. And if you do get one, you're going to wait forever, and you're going to pay a fucking fortune. It's tremendously expensive. So I was thinking, okay, now my hotel was relatively close. It was, I took the metro there from the hotel to the concert in the afternoon because time was a little bit of the essence. And it's 2 lines, so you have to transfer. So it's 2 stops, then you transfer, then another 3 stops, I think. So I thought, all right, and obviously the metro stops at midnight. So this was long after it stopped running long before the concert ended. So I was thinking, okay, I don't really want to walk to the hotel, because my hotel, oh my God, I'd never been in that part of the city before. It was actually on the Purple Line. Nobody's watching this. Nobody watched anything, but this is, I'm just trying to convey the experience for me of the whole day, the whole night. And it was my first time on the Purple Line. I'm totally unfamiliar with that part of the city. That's in the east, out near the airport. And I've only ever gone to the airport, and the stadium is only 2 kilometers from the airport. So I thought, all right, I could walk back, but it's late, and that area is tremendously shitty, very, very Not a very nice neighborhood. This is not like walking in Roma Norte or Condesa or Polanco or, something like that. But I thought, well, I Subway is obviously out, Metro is out, Uber is out. So I thought maybe I can walk, half an hour and get out of the crowd and then order an Uber. But by that point, my battery, I think, was down to 2 or 3%. I thought, man, I don't, and I also needed Google Maps to help me get back to my hotel because I was walking. So I was trying to find the balance between what do I do? Do I just continue, just power forward and Carl Malone, power forward and, get to my hotel via Google Maps. And I turned off my Wi-Fi and was using Google Maps manually just to see where it was, as opposed to using the directions. Oh, and the sun is coming in now. But it was a little bit sketchy. The first half hour or so, 20 minutes was okay, because you were still kind of in the crowd. But then immediately, it was really, really sudden. All of a sudden, there was nobody around. It was just me. Nobody around, not just no other Guns N' Roses fans. No people. Everything is the steel shutters are down. It's not very pleasant. I just thought, fuck this, I'm going to go. And I walked back to my hotel, almost became an instant vegetarian that night. The street where my hotel was on, at that time, and it took me an hour and 20 minutes to walk back to my hotel. I got back to the hotel close to 2 a.m. It was 1:53 a.m. From 12:37 to 1:53. That's, almost an hour and 20 minutes. And that street where my hotel was, there are a lot of like markets and Mexicans, these, like a Central de Abasto kind of things. And so, because it's the middle of the night, they're loading in a lot of stuff. I saw some horrible things on that. I felt like I was in Vietnam, and not on vacation in Vietnam, but like in Nam, Vietnam. I saw horrible, horrible things that are going to give me PTSD. These giant cows, not a side of beef, but actual cows that are basically just missing their hide, hanging. Cow. Big pigs with everything. The smell was horrific, and they're carting these big things in these rusty wheelbarrows, and the street is all wet from, I guess, a mix of blood and melted ice and everything. And all this stuff is just lying on the street, not on the street, but in wheelbarrows on the street. And they have it kind of hanging outside the markets or wherever they're going to go in. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to be here. But I made it through. I got back to my hotel, and I was safe and sound. And I believe that's all I have to talk about. All right. So that's all. So to wrap it up again, I want to say a really, really, really big thank you to Chris Phillips again for allowing me to go to this concert. Man, I had such a good time. I enjoyed Public Enemy a lot. I mean, I was looking forward to it already, but I enjoyed it way more than I did. I was singing along and everything, and I was really having a good time. As I said, Guns N' Roses is always great. It's just the poster that was bringing me down a little bit. And then I woke up the next morning. I woke up immediately, took a shower, came back to Cuernavaca where I live, and I worked the rest of the afternoon from 1 to 6, I think I did. So that was a busy couple days for me. Anyway, that is all. Thank you for watching. This is oh my God, this is 54 minutes. Oof, that's a long time. And I'm about to go to work again now in the afternoon. But thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody who watched. That is all. Guns N' Roses, Public Enemy, November 8th, Mexico City. I had a great time. Thank you. Yes.